Oh my gosh, y'all. I've been saying I was going to do this video for at least, what, 8 years now? All right, let's do it. Hey, YouTube. My name is TracyLGeorge, and I am finally dragging my shy, introverted self onto Authortube. God, give me strength. This has definitely been a labor of love. It's something I have been saying I wanted to do for years, but every time I would say I'm going to do it, I would totally talk myself out of it and chicken out and run away from YouTube. Just being someone who never liked a lot of attention, I always chicken out. So prayers are welcome. So I'm going to answer the typical Authortube questions. Here we go. Okay, so the first Authortube question I'm going to answer is, how did I hear about Authortube? And honestly, I don't even remember anymore. I want to say I stumbled across it years ago, like 7-8 years ago. And that's what gave me the idea that, oh, I should totally do my own YouTube channel so I can, kind of reach out to the community, meet other bookworms and writers like myself. Totally chickened out. So I honestly don't remember. Probably through another YouTuber at the time, and I wish I could remember who it was and give them credit, but I honestly don't recall. Second question is, what genres do I write in? So right now, I will say that I have planted my flag in sci-fi or young adult sci-fi, though I do have a pen name that I write in for all my thriller romance books. I've written several different types of books over the years, whether they be horror or Victorian, children's books. I've really kind of dabbled in a lot of genres, but I always seem to circle back to sci-fi and thriller romance. That just seems to be where my love is. So I always end up going back there. In fact, my two favorite books that I've written are both in those genres. Last Glimpse is in sci-fi, of course, and Treachery and Trust is in thriller romance. Third question is, what is my preferred writing tense, point of view, and category of story? That one's kind of tricky. I think I typically write in third person, though I do like first person for certain stories. If I feel like it needs to get a little more personal, I will write it in first person. Though sometimes for some of my romances, I do like to jump back and forth from the main character and the love interest, as I call them, from their perspective. So sometimes for those books, I will write in third person. My favorite question, are you a plotter, pantser, or plantster? Ooh, girl, I am a plotter. Once upon a time, I used to just write by the seat of my pants. I was totally a pantser. I didn't like outlining a long time ago because I felt like if I already knew how the story would end, I would get bored and stop writing. Silly, but it's true. That's how I felt. Now I am definitely a diehard plotter. I am not writing a word until I know where it's going. But I'm definitely a plotter. Not super detailed, but I would argue that like my outline for most of my novels could be about 5 pages long. Not too bad. Question number 5, am I published? Yes, I am self-published for quite a few books. Like I said, most of them are in my pen name, Lindsay Jones. I did finally just put out my first book in my real name. Still having palpitations over that one, but yes, so I am self-published. I did make a few attempts to do it the traditional route, but I think I like the self-published. I like the control of it. I like the fun and the chillness of it. I can't not say that my dream is to be like the next J.K. Rowling. I just really enjoy writing. I like stories, and the idea that I could make someone else feel feelings about things through my stories is just kind of the joy for me. So I'm okay right now with just being self-published. As long as I'm still getting good feedback from folks that they enjoyed it, I say it's a win-win for me. What publishing company, literary agent, and or printing company are you represented to or use? So like I said in number 5, I actually am self-published, and I'm not currently pursuing a publishing company or an agent. I won't say I'm closed-minded to it. Just right now, I'm okay with the self-publishing route. I do self-publish entirely through Kindle right now, so through Amazon. Still investigating other options for other ways to get my books out there. My hope for my channel is really just to be a laid-back place of encouragement. That is my goal. I am quite the bookworm. I love reading a bunch of different books and doing reviews on them, just kind of gushing about it to you guys, since God knows my husband does not want to hear me fuss about some romance anymore at all. But definitely book reviews, sharing tips, and writing tips and skills that I've learned over time that I think someone else might benefit from. Sharing my own misery through the writing process, and maybe finding a community of shoulders to lean on as we all press forward to our dream and our goals of just creating fun stories for people. So I guess you can say my goal here is to entertain you, educate you, support you, and maybe give you a laugh along the way. I first started writing when I was, I'll say 14, because that's my clearest memory I have of writing anything. My mother has written books her entire life, and I think that's who I got the bug from. In fact, I remember sneaking onto the computer at night and kind of stumbling across one of her books. And girl, oh my gosh, I snuck and read it. And not all of it was there. We're talking back in the day when she was writing on like the hard disk, like the floppy disk. And she filled up like all the space on it. So there was only like 16, maybe 20 pages of it. But I was like in it, invested. And I was just so disappointed. I wanted to know the rest of the story, but I didn't want to confess to her that I'd snuck and read it because I was afraid she'd be upset about it. But it definitely gave me that bug to write. And I wrote a book when I was 14 years old. And that's when I first kind of fell in love with the process. Oh God. The first story I ever wrote, I think it was called Sugar Strawberries. Oh, this is so embarrassing. I don't even remember what it's about. I'm pretty sure it was about another teenager about my age and probably some boy I was crushing on in school. No, I don't remember why I called it Sugar Strawberries. I was 14. No clue. Moving on. Ooh, authors who inspired my writing. 100% first person that comes to my mind, of course, is my mother. Obviously, since it was me sneaking and reading her book that gave me the bug. Kathleen Widowis was a romance novelist who passed away not too long ago, actually. But she definitely, I can place credit with her because at that time in my life, I wasn't into romance. Not my sort of thing. And my mother encouraged me to read one of her books. And I'm just like, you know, the cliche of a romance story. Not down for it. But she badgered me until I read it. And the first book was called Shanna by Kathleen Widowis. And girl, I was vested, like all the feels. And I just, wow. Not only was it perfectly written, it made me feel so many different emotions. And I love the idea that a book could make someone else feel that way. I mean, have you ever thought about that? That as a writer, when you do it well, you invoke emotions out of somebody else. You make someone else feel loved. You make someone else feel scared. You make someone else feel happy or laugh. How cool is that? And I think she was definitely one of those first writers that make me go, what? I mean, there's a lot of authors since then too, like Julie Garwood. I love Julie Garwood. She's probably the first person who introduced me to the thriller romance category. Love her. Recently, Ernest Cline, I think he is amazing. He definitely sold me with Ready Player One and Armada. You'll hear me fuss about Ready Player One a lot in this channel. Fair warning, it's one of my favorite books of all time. But yeah, there's a lot of names through my life, books that I've read and authors who definitely motivate me to go, I think I can do this. I think I want to try this. I like this. Oh, do I schedule writing sessions? BK, as I call it, before Kira, my daughter, I did write a lot more consistently, I will say. Um, Frankly, I had more time having only a teenage daughter who's out doing her own thing and working. I had a lot more time to myself to goof off and play video games and write stories. A lot more time. Not to mention being able to write in other places that I probably shouldn't have been writing, but I was writing. Um, since having my adorable little toddler, it got a little interesting for a while. That first year, I don't think I really wrote hardly anything. And that was a little hard for me because I needed that outlet. But I had a newborn. I had a baby. I was still working full time. I was still trying to figure it out. It hasn't been until recently, like in the last year, that I really started to get better about dedicating the time to figuring it out, how to get the writing back in my life, because I could not function without it. I don't care if I post a book and it doesn't get one single sale. I realized it's not about the sale. It was about getting out the stories. So at the moment, I am doing the same challenge writing tip that I've actually done a video on my channel, which is just doing sprints, basically. I'm writing sprints. So I do have a goal of every day at least getting in a 10-minute sprint. Most of the time that turns into way more time, but that is my minimum goal for my life right now. Tracy, write 10 minutes a day and we will walk away just fine. I wish I was one of those writers that could just, oh, let me just get this part into my phone, or I'm going to write this part on a sticky note, or no. If I have a little idea, maybe I'll scribble it down, but I am definitely that person who has to be at my desktop computer, not a laptop. I want to be at my computer on my keyboard with my setup to do my writing. I really need to work on that because I'd probably do better about getting more words in if I was a little more chill about where I set up to write. But I definitely am that creature of habit where I like writing on my desktop computer, where all my files and all my notes and my comfy chair and my setup is to get the work done. I think the thing I'm looking the most forward to about finally coming out of my little turtle shell and creating my own Authortube account is hopefully kind of reaching out to the community, meeting more people like me who they love to read and they love to write stories. And maybe we're not the next J.K. Rowling, but we're okay and we love it. And to find my tribe and my people of people who love writing and love good stories and love good books. Because I am surrounded by heathens who won't read an instruction manual, let alone a book. I need a friend. I'm stupid, just playing. Don't mind the goofiness. Welcome to my channel. I warn you ahead of time. I am nerdy. I'm a dork. I love Star Trek and Harry Potter and Star Wars and all things nerdy. I'm a Big Bang Theory fan. I'm a diehard Grey's Anatomy and Star Trek Discovery watcher. Nerd, basically. But if you can get on board with my romance, loving, noveling self and all the dorkiness, you are welcome to hang and chill with me. Shoot me a message in the comments. I'd love to meet all of you. Bye.